Hey guys, Stealth here. Today we're looking at a replay sent in by Death Charge, and in the replay description he said that this is one of the most intense battles he ever had. Reason for that is that the game started with a very high income and high starting points, so you can deploy a ton of units. Now also something special about this is that it's played out on the Floods map, which is a map that you don't really see that often. It has some interesting factors. You can do an amphibious crossing here if you have amphibious units. You can do helicopter pushes over this water. You can have a large open tank battle over here because it's pretty open, of course. And usually these towns are pretty heavily fought over. Now, Death Charge is using a US General deck, and let's see what he's deploying. We're getting some Bradleys, a command vehicle, LVTP 7A1, so that might be Smalls or Marines. Chaparrals are coming in, Abrams. Over here he seems to be doing a helicopter push, but I'm not sure where they're going. Seeing as they're going over here, they might go over here, cover out this area, before an REDFOR amphibious or aerial landing comes in. But of course it's possible that they are gonna push all the way out into a hotel. Now as you can see, it's a replay that's going to last for an hour, but I'm going to push that up a little bit just to get you the interesting bits of this replay. One thing I noted just now is that Tank TT left already, so they are playing a 3 versus 4, and this is going to put a little bit more pressure on Death Charge, Harbinger and Bison. So let's see how they keep up under that pressure. Here we go. As you can see, a huge column of units. This is pretty exceptional, the amount of units that are here. The Bradleys, the LVTPs, everything's pushing up very quickly. A couple of LVTPs split off. It seems that they're going towards this middle building over here. And this is what the helicopter group is doing. 2 Cobras, one Scout Cobra, one attack Cobra, another attack Cobra, and a longbow. So this is a pretty effective, pretty aggressive setup, really. The only thing missing from this picture is AA choppers, but they might have been shot down already because Didong scored 90 points. Now having this many units means that you gotta micromanage a lot of stuff, especially early on in the game. It's interesting to see how he does this and if he can pull it off, because having this many units makes it difficult to actually get everything the right orders at the right time. Scored a nice yak over here. Let's see what's going on over here. 25-point vehicles getting destroyed. Probably infantry transports. There goes another one. And now we're engaging everything out here. He has to block off this bridge, otherwise this is going to be a very nasty fight. Whoever captures this town first has the upper hand here. One Bereuza went down. He's losing a lot of forces here as well. Marines are trying to fend off against a lot of tanks and a ton of infantry over here. Infantry already made it into the buildings, so that's bad news. But they're reservists, which means that the Marines should be capable of handling that. For now, this is the only clash that's happening on the map. He does have the longbow over here, but it's not really that useful for fighting in woods, because it won't have a good line of sight with his Hellfire missiles. And NATO is getting a lot more kills than Red 4. Or I should say Blue 4, because not every nation is in NATO, of course. An IL-102 comes in. You definitely want to take that thing down. A Nighthawk joins the fight. Ooh, this is gonna hurt. Yep, that wiped out a lot of his forces. And he only scored 55 points, which might have been the Nighthawk, it might have been an Abrams firing. I'm not sure. Another Nighthawk comes in, who did destroy something, but probably took a little AA fires there, so he's going to be out of the fight for a bit. Now let's see over here if he has a good setup. We got a recon, we got AA, we got Mistrals, so yeah, this is a good setup, especially if you're expecting helicopter landings, which is definitely something that can occur here. This is a safe setup. You could say that he could push up a little further, and I think that that would be the better option, because having your AA and your recon in here, instead of in here, means that you don't give the enemy any room to maneuver. Whereas now he could, if he really wanted to, deploy units over here or possibly over there. So this is something that could have improved a little bit. And these recon helicopters are fortunately not hovering low, they're hovering high above the ground, so they're actually doing something. So it seems that for now this area is under control of Death Charge, but it's very, very shaky. He does have an Abrams over there. It's pretty... whoa. I was going to say it's pretty wounded. AA over here is a problem. He does have chaparrals, 3 of them. But against this many choppers, you're going to have to try and get multi-kills. Otherwise, you're not going to kill them all. And now having some stingers in these buildings or in these woods would have been ideal. Of course, having a hawk nearby would also be a very handy unit, because a hawk has a bit more HE damage than a chaparral. Chaparral fires missiles that do 6 HE power. A chaparral fires HE power of 9, and that is more likely to get a multi-kill. He tried to get a sneaky shot with the longbow. He did kill something there, but at the cost of 1 Cobra. And this is something that you want to take down before it keeps rearming those bucks over there. So I'm going to expect the Nighthawk to make an appearance not before long. Or at least that would be my play over here. So with the middle more or less under their control and the left solidly defended, he's bringing in a lot more units here. Let's have a look at the right side. It seems that he completely forgot about these LVTPs. Also, Harbinger made a bit of a mistake here, not putting his command infantry actually inside a building. Especially with a KA-52 operating in this area, this is pretty risky. Talking about risky, who needs a 1 Patriot if you can get 4? Holy hell. This is something I've never seen before. 4 Patriots with 4 Hammets behind them to support them. And over here they have 1 unit of Rangers, some light riflemen, more light riflemen, Humvee Mark 19 grenade launchers, Blackhawks, Pivats. Harbinger could have definitely set up these guys a lot better. Again, command infantry out in the open, next to a couple of M1 Abrams. These things get spotted and bombed, these guys die. So this is pretty bad play over here. Anyway, let's see how Death Charge is doing. By now, Blue 4 is leading by about 900 points. And by the looks of it, they have a pretty good opportunity to score a lot more kills over here. I mean, just look at this stuff. Let's just admire the beauty of Wargame for a bit. Everything that's hovering over this area. And that is not good. But it is definitely a good way to weaken an area first before you deploy your aerial troops. So let's see what's going on here. Yep, REDFOR has gotten a hold. They've deployed more reservists. There's 1 Marine left here and 10 riflemen. So he's going to have to bring a lot more units here to wipe out this area. I would have used the Zippo a bit earlier on, just to napalm this area to deny the enemy from entering it. That was a triple kill, I think. 3 helicopters went down there due to 1 chaparral. And my 24P gets taken down. And now 7 more tanks join the fight. This is pretty risky with the Zippo, firing at this area, especially with his own riflemen next to it. But it does provide cover for these riflemen and the Bradleys to start pushing up, because this acts as a very, very dense smokescreen. Now what I'm actually expecting here is a little bit more tanks, because I know the Bradleys are good vehicles, but they're not that good against against T-62s. T-72 Jaguars do have some armor, they got 12 armor. They're very, very numerous units. But otherwise, they can be taken down pretty easily by tanks, so if he had brought in more tanks, I think that would have helped. He did just lose his longbow, unfortunately. A couple of Beruses took that down. And now he's pounding on the door of these reservists with the autocannons from the Bradleys. The riflemen, these riflemen are completely empty. So they're gonna go back to a resupply maybe. And you can see this by the sheer amount of units he has and the amount of encounters that is going on here. That he's, well, I'm not gonna say he's struggling, but he has a lot of stuff to micromanage. Leading to stuff like this, Bradleys which still have infantry inside. Napalming some of these tanks. And I think that the ATGMs from the Bradleys, the TOWs, are now also engaging. Hornet came in. It might have hit something, but I put it on 2x speed so I didn't really see. Yeah, now we're talking. These guys is what I was waiting for. M1A1 Abrams. With these guys, he should have a very, very decent defensive or possibly offensive response to these Jaguars. What he's missing in this area though is recon, and he definitely realized that because he's bringing in another longbow. Two Akulas bite the dust. That was really, really timely because you don't want to have those guys operating too close. The fact that they were there for that long just made it a very, very inviting target. LVTP-7A1 was trying to get a shot at the Jaguar. He disabled the weapon to make sure that it didn't give away its position, so very, very well played there by Death Charge. And looking at the scores, I'm wondering what the hell his teammates are doing. Because we got Bison over here, who seems to be doing all sorts of nothing. He has a very, very solid defensive setup here. That means that by now he should be able to support his ally in the middle, where the major engagement's going on. Over here we still got this weird setup with 4 Patriots which are all active. So if a seed plane manages to make it all the way here, it's going to be either shot down by 4 Patriots or it's going to kill 1 or 2 Patriots. And over here we got a Harbinger who, I'm not sure what he's doing. You could have tried to push into this town, but not with just 4 combats. If you push with a high income game, you do it with a lot more units. You can just see something bouncing about here. So these things were definitely spotted. And I think they're going to be met with some AT fire from these buildings. Here's a first HGM. That's 1 down. I'm thinking that's going to be light infantry. Oh wow, not even light infantry. They actually managed to land Concours over here. Concours, Scrajats, VDVs, more VDVs. Geez, they got a lot of those guys in here. And judging by the amount of choppers that we've seen, this might actually be an airborne deck. Now, the game seems to quiet down a little bit, so let's speed it up. This M1A1, I would have pushed it a little bit more forward, try and get some shot at those Scrajats. And let's see, the longbow is still here, but it's hovering very low above the ground. And now another wave of infantry comes in, which is very, very nicely dealt with by the Zippo. Very good play here, and having this thing here to block off these bridges is ideal. Just look at the amount of choppers that have crashed and died here in this riverbed. And over here we're probably going to see some more vehicles. Yep, T-62As if I'm not mistaken. What I'm missing in his picture actually is a seaplane. If he had had a Raven or a Prowler, he could have easily taken down at least one of those bugs, maybe some Beruses along the way. And with that it would have been a lot easier to keep his helicopter operations going. Holy hell, what was that? T-62Ms. Now he did mention that at some point there were 20 to 30 tanks pushing across his field, but it is too early for that. So what do you do when you have this many tanks? What is your solution to it? Let me know in the comments. When I watch these replays, it's always very interesting to be presented with situations which you don't really normally face, like a heavy push like that, with a lot of vehicles. What do you do? And it's not only for you guys as the viewers of this video, but also for me as the commenter, a good question of what can I do? And this was definitely a beautiful action. This was the MLRS, sorry, the ATA CMS, the M270, and it just wiped out a lot of vehicles here. So well done there. Another one goes down. And he is going to be rearming for a bit. Now I'm getting more and more convinced that Death Charge is the only experienced player here, because he seems to be carrying everyone on the team. You could say that the flanks of the guys of Bison and the Harbinger were pretty quiet, but that's mostly because they weren't actually doing anything. Yeah, this is just something that you don't do. You don't push 3 Martyr 2s into a building like this, hoping not to get engaged by either the Conquerors over there or the VDVs in here. Oh well. Black Hawk comes in, probably with Rangers inside. Let's see, this was a Russian plane that went down. Come on, deploy your forces. Seems that he's moving up here with his Marines, trying to help out these Panzer Grenadiers. And they lost all of those VDV Martyr 2s to the VDVs. And the Nighthawk just did a pretty heavy friendly fire bombing run, wiping out, I think, 12 Panzer Grenadiers in one bomb. So that was a lot of blue on blue here. Eagle scores one more group of VDV kills, and this is trouble. You don't want to have Mi-8 TVs patrolling over this area as you're pushing up with Marines. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. It was a very, very valiant effort by Death Charge to help out his ally over here. But against this many forces with just, well, what is it, 20 Marines? I don't think it's going to last for very long. Four panicked VDVs versus 9 shaken Marines is probably a very, very solid victory for the Marines. That is, unless they get helped by something. Prowler comes in with a couple of Hornets in support. And this Hornet is probably going to go down. Yep. So at this point Bison should have either pushed with more units. And I'm not sure what the fuck this was. He was probably force firing at this building, but he ended up hitting the Marines. Now the middle seems pretty quiet, and usually in a high income game, when something like this happens where it goes all quiet, that's where I get interested in what the hell is going on their side. They must be creating a major push over here. Wow, 12 artillery units pounding on this area. And they are... what are they engaging? Yeah, they're doing counter-arty. So, let's see if we can spot a push coming in. Yeah, this is something that resembles a push. 12 tanks are rolling up. M1A1 Abrams are taking a lot of HGM fire here. Fortunately, recon for REDFOR wasn't that great. They just had a T-55 here, and the dense cover from the forest over here made sure that the Abrams survived. But they could use some repairs. Now, as the battle is not as active, let's have a look at what REDFOR has over here. This is weird. Having 4 T-72M Jaguars over here, where you can expect a helicopter push, or maybe an amphibious assault, but that's pretty much suicidal at this stage. He has reservists, okay, and more reservists, and a high hovering Mi2, some AA. Seriously, what is he trying to do over here? I'm thinking that Death Charge went up against a couple of units, or a couple of players who are not that experienced. This is probably gonna cost Bison one chopper. Also the fact that that artillery unit was engaging the HOT, or the area underneath the HOT, instead of directly firing at the HOT, makes me believe that they weren't actually that experienced. Otherwise you would take your artillery and fire directly into the cockpit of the HOT. Now they have a push coming in. And this Chaparral is very, very badly out of position here. These Abrams have to be returned. They have to start reversing quickly. Yep, there goes one Abrams. I still find it a little sad that the longbow now double taps their targets. I mean, before, I don't know, a couple of patches ago, they used to fire these Hellfires at their wings one by one. Now they're all firing them 2 by 2, so that effectively reduced the anti-tank helicopter capability of this thing from 16 tanks to just 8. And of course 8 is still a good amount of tanks if you can kill it with one helicopter. But 16 was just better. But then again, you could say that it was overpowered. This is an extremely risky move. He was really eager to get rid of that longbow, but it ended up costing him this airplane, which was an Su-27S. I'm not sure who got the kill, but it probably was these Patriots over here. But this was just not worth it, because he did not know how much AA there was over here. Longbow being repaired, the moment it's no longer panicked, and you can see that this thing is pretty banged up by now. This thing is not doing very well. But it survived. And in the meanwhile, we're having a lot of fireworks coming up. And that is firing from there to this town. Well, that's nice, but it's not going to do a lot other than stun them. I haven't actually done any damage to the LVTP-7A1 so far. And I really doubt that they will, actually. Yep, no damage. That's why I don't use MLRS myself. I don't think that they're that effective. Now, let's see if there's any interesting bits coming up. The 100-point helicopter went down there. And this is just a very, very inviting target for artillery. Not sure why artillery... Yeah, thank you. Not sure why artillery hasn't gone after them yet. Yeah, this is what I was expecting. Someone fired MLRS, or ATA-CMS at them. And because they were spread out, the ATA-CMS chose the middle area and missed all of the vehicles. So now these trailers are making it out alive. And by now you completely lost them, because if they disappear into these forests or just lose recon like they just did, it's over. You're not going to see those again. This Abrams is in a very, very bad position, but he cannot go anywhere. The one thing that they could do is deploy smoke right on top of the Abrams to make sure that detecting is going to be a little more difficult. See if the Eagle can get any kills over here. Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a very, very nice bombing run. That bombing run alone was pretty much a return on investment for the entire airplane. Yeah, and this push by Harbinger Trying to get Strelas taken down by prowlers also tells me that he wasn't that experienced. A couple more 64Bs are coming in. Make that 16 tanks by now. This might be the major push that he described in the replay. And 182s even. You can see that the map is this big. And those Abrams have to traverse all the way across the map. That by the time that they actually get here, they're almost out of fuel. And that is really a limiting factor for their effectiveness. Because you want these tanks to maneuver as much as possible. You want them to go into cover, outside of cover, take a couple of shots, get back. That's lucky that these Cobras missed. And unfortunately the recon for Blue 4 here is somewhat lacking, because it's hard to actually get solid recon and stable recon in here without it being destroyed very often. But they are definitely doing a lot of damage to these T-64Bs. 2 Leopard 2A4s are in pursuit, heavily damaged and almost out of fuel. If I see units like this, almost out of fuel, I would not push with them, because if you pursue and you end up there, out of fuel, you're in a very, very bad place. And luckily they just made it into cover. The point difference in this match is pretty significant though. It's 4,400 points in advantage of Blue 4. So they are really, really kicking REDFOR's ass this game. Just lost his eagle, unfortunately. I'm not sure where he was going with that thing. Can you send a supply truck here? Well, Bison, you could try doing that on your own. This is a beautiful target for ATA CMS, and he wipes out 3 tanks with 1 missile. Let's see if the second missile is also going to come in. I don't think so. Because judging by the skill level of Death Charge, I think that he will be micromanaging these things and that they're going to be firing 1 missile at a time. Yeah, he immediately turned it off. Which is absolutely the right call to make, because you only need 1 missile to destroy those tanks. Again, not a lot going on here, but it's definitely an interesting battle. There's a lot going on. Now Delta Force is going to clean up this town, hopefully. Let's see what they're going to be up against. A couple of VDVs, Strelas, Concours, more VDVs. Somebody's making it snow again. A couple of Grats pushing in. It's raining on these Panzer Grenadiers, and they are panicked, but otherwise they're not dying. Now with 32 Delta Force by now, you can put a lot of hurt on this infantry. If these guys don't get help soon, this is pretty much over. There goes a group of VDVs. I'm not sure why he's not pushing up with these guys a little bit more aggressively. He's pushing up with his weaker group, it seems. Maybe he cannot see them yet. Let's switch back to his view. Yeah, you can see the Strelas, but not much else. This would be an ideal RD target, by the way. Or a Nighthawk, if he has one to spare. Frogs are coming in. This might be a SEAL operation now. Or it's more Delta Force. Let's see. Now you do not want to have Delta Force in too close proximity to the BMP-1Ds with their grenade launchers. He probably realized that and took them out, prioritized the target. And this is not good. All these helicopters just deployed their infantry. And this is pretty much the view that Delta Force has. Not something to look forward to, really. But having them directly overhead is not the right call either. Because like this, you're exposing them to the submachine gun fire and the machine gun fire from the Delta Force. And yeah, Delta Force took a heavy pounding here. Let's see what this is. More Delta Force coming in. Let's hope they can make it to the safety of these buildings, or relative safety of these buildings quickly. You can see that there's a lot of damage here. These units cost you 25 points, and they just took down another 30-point helicopter. So this is definitely a very, very cost-effective operation. Now again, Bison and Harbinger over here are lagging behind. They should have pushed in with more infantry once they saw that Death Charge was, well, pretty much doing their job for them here. And definitely a major shout out to Death Charge here, because he has been carrying this team immensely. He's been securing the main area here. This is the main area of operations. He's tried to push into this area. And this, by the way, is not good. And now he's doing their job for them in this town. So just exactly what use are those teammates, other than doing some side operations over here? More Delta Force are pushing in, but this is more worrying. And let's see. They are relocating their command vehicle. M1A1 took a side shot, unfortunately. And against this many T-80Bs, you're gonna need something like a Warthog or a Thunderbolt. Helicopters would be nice, because it seems that they don't have any AA with them. So let's see what is being brought up. Longbows in pairs of 2. Normally, I would not recommend this setup, but in this case, it's definitely the right call to make. You want as many Hellfires on the front line as possible. Recon is not a problem here. So just getting as many as many ATGMs here is a good choice. So this is one of those exceptional situations where you want to have the longbows in groups of 2, because these guys are firing 32 Hellfires to the front line. And of course they can spot at the same time. Bison is also pushing in with a couple of Hot 2s, but they are... oh, luckily they're stopping. I thought they were going to fly right over these lines. And by now REDFOR is just pretty much giving the points away. The amount of ATGMs flying over here is pretty ridiculous. But then again, you want these guys dead. Now they can take out the T-62Ms over here. Over here we got Death Charge still with the Delta Force, but against Spetsnaz, it's a losing fight. He has Humvees with AA units in here, so probably Stingers. He hasn't deployed them yet. Yeah, there are the Stingers. And the 7A1s are trying to kill one of these guys with the support of the Marines. This push just cost REDFOR another 1,000 point. Well, pretty much 1,000 point advantage, because they did score something, but in the end they lost a lot more forces. Now the Nighthawk push comes in. Not sure if they killed anything. The amount of infantry resources that Death Charge has in this deck is pretty incredible. I'm going to have a look at that deck later on. I'm posting the deck code down below in the description so that you can have a look for yourself. If you like what you're seeing, please use that deck and make a video for yourself. Have some good games with it, because it seems to be a pretty solid setup. This seems to be another blue on blue. I'm not sure these Cobras are blind firing or not. I don't think they are, but they did end up wiping out their friendly infantry. And this was a beautiful Nighthawk run, scoring another 100 points. This was just ridiculous. There was nothing here that they could kill. You can beat a couple of blocks of hit points off of these guys, but that's about it. So, if they can use the stingers to push up a little further, they can score some more helicopter kills. Who the hell is firing ATACMS at the middle of a building block? This one, Harbinger. Okay. That definitely tells you something about his knowledge of the game. I'm not saying he's a bad player, I'm just saying that he has still some room for improvement. Having 4 Mi-24Ds over here is probably, depending on the nationality, yeah, this might be another Spetsnaz group coming in. But they're getting wiped out quickly, so that's at least going to wound a couple of those Spetsnaz if they don't die on impact. Let's see, did the Spetsnaz survive? No, the Spetsnaz was already offloaded earlier. That's this group. And probably another group that already got wiped out. Yeah, here's more Spetsnaz. So those Mi-24Ds were just there to try and engage the guys over here. Now for a general deck, a US general deck, Death Charge sure has a lot of infantry in here. Smalls engaging VDVs. I'm wondering who's going to win this one. The problem here is that 3 of the small groups are hiding in these buildings right here. So actually it's one small group engaging the VDVs. And now artillery is actually firing for effect, doing a lot of damage to these stingers and some stun damage to the LVTPs. Now I'm thinking that by the amount of infantry that I'm seeing, these guys are not very experienced. They're all low veterancy, and that's what's giving him this high amount of infantry. For situations like this, you could go with a deck that is specifically geared towards high point income games. I already advocated the use of low point tactical decks, if you will. So everything is very, very heavily upfetted. But having them the other way around, having a couple of medium to good units at lower veterancy, is another way to go if you're doing a very, very high income game like this, because you need the resources, you need the funds, you need the reserves that you can get. Excellent delivery job with the Bradleys here, deploying 30 riflemen in here. Now hopefully he can bring some more units in here. More Bradleys are coming in. Unfortunately he lost all of the Bradleys out there. These are VDV 90s even, which are absolutely wrecking these Bradleys. Now the Bradley goes down. Tend to bring the grenade launchers to bear on that infantry. I'm not sure why the hell you want to push up with a Tunguska. I thought a Warthog was coming in by the sound of that cannon, but it turned out to be the autocannon on the Tunguska. Great bombing run here, scoring another 3 groups of infantry, but it did hurt his own riflemen in the process. Just the amount of fire going on here is pretty ridiculous. And shooting up in the air might not be the best option. Guys, you're not revolutionaries, you're riflemen. Stop shooting up. Ah well, wargame mechanics. This napalm run, oh, I thought it was going to just be 1 bomber, but it turned out to be 2. Which is a major setback to this infantry operation here. But he at least deployed 40 more riflemen in here. And the Spetsnaz still got some ammo for their napalm launcher. Now you can see just how heavily this area is contested. Everything has been destroyed, broken buildings. A lot of impact craters over here. The only thing missing from this picture is a B5 dropping a bomb somewhere. And something just wiped out pretty much 40 riflemen. Not sure what the hell that was. Probably the Spetsnaz. Over here there's some more tanks pushing up from Spartan Rage. And judging by the amount of hellfires that these guys are taking, I think it is indeed... or that he is indeed raging. Hellfire hit this guy, or a tank shell, I'm not entirely sure what it was. Let's see if we can find an incoming ATGM. Definitely some artillery hitting this area. Yeah, they're just trying to pull back now. Interestingly, that once this area was under control of Death Charge, REDFOR didn't really try to get it back. Whereas if they'd had a Buratino or two, say one firing from over there and one from over there, one firing at this block of buildings and one firing at this forest, they could have pushed in. And they could have really made a difference in capturing this forest and then possibly moving on to that town. Luckily, that didn't happen. Now Bison said attack these guys. Yeah, sure, that's easy for you to say. Another helicopter gets killed by the Stingers, insofar as those are still alive. They came in at a pretty low veterancy, but now they're all elites. They scored a lot of helicopter kills here. Now, let's see. There should be a major tank push coming. Or at least, I think that we still really haven't seen it. Here it is. Oh yeah, this is it. T-64Bs, BMP-1Ds, Jaguars, 64Bs, more Jaguars, AA, more Jaguars, more AA, more Jaguars, more Jaguars, T-72s, more... Another group. Holy hell. So we got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 46. Yeah, they're pushing about this bridge with about 50 vehicles. Most of which are very, very heavily armored. Let's see when these things are going to get detected. But this was definitely a desperate operation. Now, countering a couple of tanks which are sitting still here is not that difficult. You just fire your ATAC mess at it. But what do you do when there's 50 tanks pushing across your area? By the amount of units, it's starting to look more like Ruse than Wargame. There we go. This is the first group. And they're just patiently sitting out in the open, waiting for death to arrive, it seems. Jesus, look at that. They did have an idea that this was coming. But it seems that all of these tanks were still waiting, assembling here, and then pushing over this side. If you're doing something like this, and I would recommend against it, please separate your forces. Have one group go over this bridge and the other group go over that bridge. If you do it like this, you're going to have a decent chance of not having your vehicles destroyed all in one go, and not all having them blocking off a bridge if they die. If you all try to push 50 vehicles across one bridge, you have a very, very good chance that that bridge is going to get completely clogged, meaning that the rest of your forces are going to be stuck. And with the brilliant AI of the vehicles and the tanks, it is very likely that they're just going to be moving about on this small section of bridge. For now though, Death Charge has no idea that this is going on, and he has to worry about this. 64Bs, BMP-1Ds. And I think that at some point he had those dual setups of Apaches over here, but I haven't seen them in a while. They may have been blown up when I was looking at this town. So a Thunderbolt 2 would have definitely helped here. Insta-kill on these guys. CV's pushing away from this area. Good choice there. And this is where the US struggles, because they got short-range anti-tank infantry. They got the SMAWs, they got light riflemen, which he's not using in his deck. So he has nothing to do, or he cannot do anything against this area, against this push. These Hornets from Harbinger can, but they're getting wiped out the moment they cross this bridge. So having side strafes like this would have been a bit safer, but then again you'd encounter these bucks over here, which might be empty. Yeah, they're empty. Whoops, death charge. Now I'm not sure why you're not pushing these guys into a forest or two, because he's just leaving them here to die. And over here we got the major tank column that we spotted earlier. I hope he's going to evac all of these guys, because they're just going to get wasted by anything that pushes in here. Let's see what his response is going to be. He has about 4 minutes left to do it. 3 Abrams. Really? That it? Gee, look at this. This is just a lemming train. I mean, hello. That's just, what, 50 tanks? A couple of helicopters for support. So, let me know in the comments, what do you do when you encounter a push like this? Of 60 tanks, or 50 tanks. Actually, it might have been a bit more. This is 5 groups, so that's 20. This is another group of 5. Yeah, this is about 50 tanks. What do you do? M1A1s are being brought in. And strangely enough, a push like this with just all the same vehicles can actually be pretty... Yeah, this was just stupid. Can actually be pretty dangerous. Because if they manage to make it through to this zone, and especially in a conquest game this is even more so. Because if you can destroy some more vehicles, some command vehicles, and neutralize their control over the sectors, that is when they have a very, very good chance of actually making some more income. Hornet comes in. The amount of tanks here is just incredible. He's bringing in, what's this, 7 M1-1Ps, or M1IPs. REDFOR's just giving the points away again. These are tanks by Tate B. I'm very interested to see how many points he's going to lose. Now I'm thinking napalm bomber on this area, but then again you'd lose the sight of these vehicles, and that's not something you want to have happen. Harbinger's just sacrificing helicopter after helicopter. These M1IPs are not too close. One M1A2 joins the fight. Jesus Christ. And where are these guys even going? I mean, what's his play here? Jesus. Oh, that got wiped out. Without doing too much damage, I think. I mean, they did neutralize this town, they neutralized this town, but I don't think they followed up. They recaptured this town insofar as they have lost control of it. Spatsnaz over here. Not that interesting, really. So that entire tank column died for nothing. And with that, they gave Blue 4 a lead of 7,000 points. Now a helicopter push is coming in again from Tate. And Tate is not the player with the most points. Well, let's see. Death charge killed 11,690 points, lost 6,000. So very good markup here. He scored 5,000 points more in kills than in losses. Tate B lost 6,000 points and scored 4,500. The reason I'm looking at this guy is that he was the one who did that major push with all of the tanks. And he definitely paid for it. But he got a lot of command points, so he did help his team out that way. Harbinger got a pretty neutral score, and so did Bison. He got a very tiny markup here, about 1.1, and this is, it's even less, 1.05 or something like that. So Death Charge definitely carried this team. Death Charge, thank you very much for sending me this gameplay. It was very nice to cover it and to see how you countered all the pushes that they did on your area. Very well played, and thanks for sending it in. Now, if you liked watching this video, please hit like, and if you want me to have a look at your replay, just send it in through my website. The link to that is in the description below. If you want to have a look at Death Charge's deck, see how you can use it and maybe improve upon it, the deck code is down in the description below. I will not be doing a video on it because it's another US general deck and I already have quite a few of those on my channel. But have a look for yourself and let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed already to my channel, please do. It really helps me out and I hope that you enjoy my material enough to warrant a subscription. If you have any questions, if you have any things that you want to point out about this game, please leave a comment down below. And for now, thanks for watching. I hope to see you next video.